Hello, friend. Welcome to my YouTube channel, DevOps with Anil. This is a continuation of a AWS series where I have last video talked about AWS Identity Access and Management. Um, in that video, I have explained you how to create user, how to create a group, and how to update the policy and attach the policy to group and user. So this is continuous with that. We are going to talk about password policy update and also talked about roles. So let's get started. First of all, password policy. So by default, AWS also provide that some policies, but we can add as per our requirement or whatever you want to provide. If you created a user and you want to provide those policy to user as well, enforce the policy to user that they need to be at the requirement is like for AWS setup minimum password length. You can set up put it like 8 to 16 or 16 to any means any number you can put it. Required specific character, basically it says that you need to include one uppercase in that password, one lowercase, one number, one alphanumeric means a special character you need to provide. Allow all IAM user change their own password, means if they want to change or update their password they can do that. If you want to allow it, it's okay. If you don't want to allow it, only you can do for them, that's okay. To control their password as well, means not control their password, but it's just like control, if anyone have forget that password, then only you can able to reset their password and ask them to. Once the reset is done, they need to change their own credential and use it and keep it in their. Require user to change their password after some time, so it is a rotation, call as a rotation. After 90 days, if you want to rotate, user enforce that user need to rotate the password, they need to do that if you enable it. Prevent password reuse, so that last password they cannot keep using same password, so need to be reuse a different password always every time. Now, in order to access the AWS, how many types we can access is there are three types right now. First one is AWS console. The last video I have shown you is fully on AWS console base, but today I will show you how to you can configure in your uh, to CLI as well as SDK. I am not going to show you, but I will uh, tell you that what does it means that. Basically, in AWS console, generally you need a username, password, and MFA should be enabled. It should be, it is running on the browser. Any browser you can access it, this credential, and you can, from browser, you can access that your all AWS infrastructure and resources over there if you have a permission of that. Now, coming to the AWS CLI, it doesn't require username, password. It is required access key and secret key to communicate with from your any terminal. Like in Windows there is command prompt, there is a PowerShell, you can access it. In Linux you can open a Linux terminal or Ubuntu terminal, or in Red Hat terminal, any terminal you can have, but when you need a access key and secret key. Today we will create this as well and show you that uh, how to access it from your local. Basically from my local I can do the demo. For SDK, still SDK is basically used for programmatical way to access AWS account. Like if your Java code, suppose you are running an application Java code, and Java code want to access S3 bucket. Okay, the S3 bucket is one of the services in AWS. If you want to access that bucket from your Java code, a SDK to be SDK jars should be SDK library should be added in your code base, and in code from code base you need to pass access key, secret key, and then you can communicate with directly from programmatical from your code to S3 bucket. So these are the three ways to connect in AWS. What is MFA and how what does mean that it is a extra level of a security apart from username password, so that if your username password is compromised, then at least you have another if the person doesn't have your MFA device, then they are not able to connect with the AWS account, and it is safer for your account as well. So generally, when you create a login, a root login, it will not enable it. So by default, AWS recommend that you need to do that without MFA. If you, it will give you 15 days. After that, it forcefully you need to do that. Otherwise, AWS is not going to log in you again. So for that, you need a security device. Generally, it can be hardware or as well, but nowadays software like Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator, any authenticator you can download on your app and set it up. Means scan it and set it up. I will show you how to do that. The main benefit is the if password is like the one which I just said, that if your password is compromised, the MFA is the one which can protect it, because without this you cannot log in. Now come to the CLI. This is the slide is just giving you that directly how to we can copy and paste of one file into the S3 bucket using CLI. So once we configure that, first we need to install that AWS CLI on our local machine. So AWS CLI having a terminal based basically application which helps us to uh, call S3 directly, sorry, not S3, AWS directly from local. And for that, we need to pass a credential. For that, we can configure AWS configure and use those uh, set up our local. Now, SDK one, just I explained you that it's just SDK is a software development kit full form, and it can be set any type of language. It supports multiple language like JavaScript, Python, PHP, .NET, Ruby, lot of mobile, even Android as well. It is support embedded IoT as well, embedded C. So these are the languages it is support. Now come to the main thing, role. What is role in AWS? So some AWS services will need to perform action on your behalf. What does it mean? Let's the example which I already gave in few minutes back. Uh, you have a program where you want to access S3 bucket, means access the file having in S3 bucket. So your application is going to run on EC2 machine, and you want to access those files which is present on S3. So from EC2 machine to S3, there is a manual intervention required. So your application, it is EC2 machine required a permission to access that file. For that, either you can go with the secret key and access key and secret key, or you can go with a role as well. If suppose your application is not running on AWS, you're running on local, then you definitely require a access key and secret key. But if your application is running on a EC2 machine, then you can either pass via role or pass via access key secret key. Both will work. But for passing via role is always be the best option. Why? Because you don't need to manage your credential and all. Only the role having the permission, it will be can be managed from there, and no separate user can be accessed like one user is pointing it. If you suppose you have an added services, you can add over there in the role, attach the policy directly to the role, and it will work. I will show you the demo of this. Now, IAM security tools, basically the tools is generate the report. First one is the IAM credential report. It is account level report. Basically a report list all your accounts, user, the status of their various credentials. What it is saying that if you have AWS organization, you have a list of accounts like 10 to 15 AWS accounts in your main account attached to that, and you want to take a report of all the users who is having what access and all. This can be done from this report. And IAM access advisor, user level, it is for user level. It will advisor shows that the service permission granted to user and when those service were last accessed. That user, which user have what permission and which user have access. That thing, what in the last means, what are these services accessed by this user is when is the last date. So like you can audit those things, and user can this information to revise your policy, and basically we can use this as a think about that this user required this permission or not. If by looking this uh, report and say that if that user is not going to work on those part, we can revoke those accesses, remove the policy from their access. So these are the guidelines and best practices shared by the AWS team. We need to follow it. So what are those things? First of all, don't use the root account except for account setup. Basically, once you create the root account, you should not use it. You should always create a user and the user base access, and keep root account is separate. One physical user equals to one AWS user. What is means that every person should be have a separate uh, user. It's not like that we are going to share credentials to each and everyone, like generally people do create one user and share between everyone and use as a credential. It is the problem of that basically losing or compromise your credential. Suppose if you share your friend and that friend is compromised, and somehow someone has looked their mobile or anywhere where he saved the password, then your credential is compromised and you're going to be maybe the third person who is having the credential. They will use your AWS account for fraud and something like that, and you are going to be charged on this. So keep in mind that whenever you create a user, share the credential with that person of the user. If you are going to onboard a user, then create a new credential and share with them. Assign user to group and assign permission to group. Generally, don't attach any policies to directly to the user. It is a very bad practice. Always, whatever the scenarios you have, create a group of those scenarios, attach the permission, minimum permission, whatever the permission are required for that group to access is, attach it, and then after add the user to the group. Create a strong password policy. Today's first slide was that password policy. We need to always keep in mind that a strong password policy, so that if anyone forget the password, they should create that level of strong, so that if randomly anyone typing in should not be remember those passwords easily. So it should be strong password policy. And enforce to use the multi-factor authentication. Always enable user to be multi-factor authentication so that always every user have their device to second level of a access, means second level of a credential need to pass, like multi-factor token, and then only it can be go through that. Create and use role for given permission to AWS services. The one which I was explaining when I was explaining role, we should always use role for AWS services access to the different AWS services. Like EC2 machine want to access S3 bucket, we should attach EC2 to role. Use access key for programmatical access, like the CLI and SDK, the one which I was telling you that if you are accessing AWS services from outside the AWS account, you should always use access key and secret key. Audit permission of your account using IAM credential report and IAM access advisor. These two services always continuously check who is accessing what. Okay. Never share IAM user and IAM access key. So that is the last. You should not share anyone IAM user and IAM access key. Now, AWS works on shared responsibility model. Basically, some things AWS need to be managed and they are responsible for anything happening over there, and something we are responsible for our account. So, what AWS teams are responsible? Infrastructure, global network security. So, basically, we are not, we should not worry about the network AWS provided us, because they, that is their infrastructure and they are managing for lot of thousands of million billions of customers. They have million customers. Okay, so they are going to manage infrastructure for each of them. This is completely control over there. Configuration and vulnerability and analysis. Whatever the configuration and vulnerability of those AWS accounts, generally they are going to perform their accesses. And compliance validation, basically whatever they generate a report and they compliance and all everything they do by themselves. But what we are responsible for do managing, we are responsible for creating user group role policy management and monitoring. So all these things we are responsible to do that. Enabling MFA of all AWS account, we are to do that. That all key of an access key and secret key I'm talking over here. Use IAM tool to apply appropriate permission. So we have a tool analyzer that can be analyzed what are the permission and analyze access pattern and review permission. So basically report, generate the report and see that what who is accessing what. Last but not the least, so whole section of IAM, what we have discovered. First one is map to a physical user. One user is a one credential, means every person have their own credential. Okay, contains, can contain user only. Policies, JSON document that outline permission of a user or group. Policy can be attached both simultaneously, but uh, we should avoid to attach any policy directly to the user. We should always attach to roles for internal service to AWS services access. Here is the example. For EC2 instance, connect to the AWS service like S3 or anything. Security, we should always enable with the MFA plus password policies. AWS CLI, manage your AWS services using command line. AWS SDK, access, manage your AWS services using a programming language like Java, Python, Go, C++, .NET, anything. Access key, access AWS using CLI or SDK. And audit, basically generate a report of a account wise and user base. Okay, so let's jump into the demo. So this is my AWS account. Let us start with password policies. Let's go with IAM. So in here, if you see, I already means my root account is already MFA enabled. Okay, and the last day I have created two groups, not two groups, only one group, read only, and one user I have created it. I deleted that user right now. Only the previous one means I have created this user for using myself. So okay, go to the again dashboard. Account setting. So these are the password policy. Default one is present. Okay, let me edit it to make it strong. These are the default one. If we want to use custom, then we can. Password length, if we want to do like 16, or let me make 9, not 8. Let's make 9. At least one uppercase in the Latin format, A to Z. One lowercase, yes. One, at least one number, yes. At least a special character, yes. Turn on password expiration. Basically, if you turn on, then you need to provide the how many days you want. If I put 90 days, then every 90 days the password is expire. I need to reset it. Password expiration required administration reset. If I allow it, then only admin, whoever have admin access, they are able to do that. But right now I am not enable it. Allow user to change their own password. If you want to allow access user to change their own password, they can do that. Prevent AWS prevent password reuse. So how many password last password do you want to save it so that they cannot use repeatedly the same password? Like suppose someone is a abc at the rate 1234 using last time, and then again next time is a qwer at the rate 1234. Now again, if they don't want to use it abc, then if you type 7, then last 7 password they cannot use it. Okay, so let me save this. This will impact any new user creation. All existing users change their passwords. Okay, so this is done. Okay, this is the password policy. Now creating again a new user. So let me create a new user. Let me create a user called test, and want to provide a AWS console access. For that we need to provide it. If want to do that, so console access, if I want to provide it, I need to do that. I am just creating a here. So here it is showing that auto generate password you want, or it is a custom password, so I am going to put custom password. So see the my password policy is over showing over here, and I can put it like that. Let me put yeah, let me show you what I'm password doing it. I need a password DevOps. So one capital is there, one small is there, number is not there, then 305 is the number, and what else I am missing? Length is also, we need to make sure that a special character only I am missing right now. So DevOps 305 at the rate. Okay, so I'm disable this one. Basically it is saying that when you log in this one and it need to be changed again, so I don't want to do that. For demo purpose I just going to use this one only. Okay, so the test user is created. Now I need to uh, attach the policy. So let me attach the policy of a read only. Okay, means I need to add the user into group, so I'm attaching it read only. The permission of read only is already there, so last video you can see that. I will add the uh, card of that top right of video, check that, and create user. So user is created. Now for login I need to click this. Let me open incognito window, this. So here I have account ID, the username is test, and password is DevOps 305 at the rate. So sign in. Yeah, I am able to log in over there, but the permission, what the permission is there, only the read only, so nothing is showing over here. uh, Let me go over here. So password, so yeah, this is the password. Now till now I haven't provided this user for a, what I can say, access of console access, means access key and secret key it is not able to. So create permission, so it can create as 3 bucket permission. It have this test user because it is attached on a group, so group have that permission. It is already coming over here. Now credential, manage console access, yeah, here. So for programmatical access or a CLI we need to create access key secret key of this user. Okay, so let me create that access key. For right now I am going to use CLI use case. I already installed AWS CLI in my machine, but you can install it uh, by following this documentation. It should be open the documentation of AWS CLI. So these are the commands over there, but I will tell you these commands later. But for now, you need to install it AWS CLI. For that, AWS CLI install on window. So you will find this link, first link. So for Windows, these are the steps. You can download this file and double click and run it, and run, and then you can type it AWS version. So let me open a CMD. Okay, so uh, let me create that and configure the default tag. I am not going to default put any tag, but it should be, you can put basically default tag and all. You can put it, create access key and secret key. So remember that it always only showing this secret access key only once. It cannot be showed twice. So you need to careful that you can use only once this credential. Okay. So let's copy this, and now I need to AWS type this to configure access key and secret key. So this one right now it is showing that it is already some IDs there because I am using AWS, so it is showing over there. So I'm replacing those ID with this, and the password is going to be replaced with this. And the reason, default reason I'm going to select this AP South one is a Mumbai one. Format is JSON. That's fine. So my credential are set. Okay. Now, if you remember that, let me check if S3 bucket is there or not. Any bucket. So the one right now I have created is the created for test user. Okay. So whatever the permission of a test user, it can be only used here. So no bucket is there. Uh, okay. So we need to provide. Mm, Let me use the credential of a test and create user via here. So this is a test user. If you want to see over here, this is the IAM user test, and it is any reason right now. But let's me move on the Mumbai. Okay. So S3. Let me create bucket because it have permission of creating bucket. So quickly create a bucket. Bucket name DevOps Anil. Let me put random number because if it is not a unique, then it will not going to create. Okay. Bucket name, and I am not going to anything. I just try to create bucket. It should create the bucket. Yeah, it is create the bucket. Okay. I cannot do anything inside that because it doesn't have this permission. So only thing is that we can only create a bucket. So listing the bucket is the permission. We can directly now using the CLI, we already set up that for test user. Let me put AWS S3 LS. What it will do, it will hit the S3 AWS account and give me the list of the bucket. The token provided malform. Oh, okay. So what happened is that in my machine, I have a token one. So let me remove the token quickly. You don't need to do that because I was using a assume role one. So that's the reason I need to do that. Just a second to config credential. Okay. So I did that. Now this time, yeah. So see, the bucket name is coming. If I want to, I can create another bucket and it will need to put name Anil. I can create bucket from here as well. It's not like that I can create only from here. uh, for creating a bucket, right now it is showing 2. For creating a bucket, let us check the command. uh, hyphen h 3. um, Here's the create bucket, I believe. Hyphen h something I'm doing weird. Okay, let me put name. What it will do? AWS command. Oh, I need to write full length. Help. AWS command create bucket is not the correct AWS command. Okay, so these are the things: CP, MV, sync, MV, RBLS. There should be create bucket. Okay, so there is a no create bucket over with the help of S3. Let me check on Google first. Create bucket using WCLI. So what is the command? Oh, sorry, S3 API. We need to use it. Got it. This is the command. Okay, create bucket and then hyphen bucket. Bucket name is Anil. Put something random. Hyphen region AP South is one is a Mumbai region. Mm, illegal while creating create bucket APSOU. Okay, if I don't put reason, let me check that without reason, because we have already default a reason. It's very strange. That is not going to work. Single line create bucket. Change the name number over here. It is created. Okay, the reason south is it I'm spelling mistake somewhere. APSOUD. Okay, let me check the permission of that one. I forget the permission. What the permission in the group? So in the group, is there any reason specific permission? Permission. Expand that. So create bucket. Put in permission. Permission base. Something is weird, but yeah. So this way you can access the CLI from terminal. If you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more video like this.